What is going on? I want to welcome you from half court for today, Tuesday, August 16th. I'm your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my shooting guard, the Rip Hamilton of From Half Court. My guy,
Sure.
Jeff. I'm afraid Jeff. How's it going today, brother? Good to see you as always.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. This is like I said, we've been doing a lot of these scenarios. We thank God for Pistons Twitter because they always propose these different ideas, and it sparks things in my head, in your head, and this is why we get on here and make content. So it's a good day to be a Pistons fan, and I cannot wait for this season because there's going to be a plethora of topics we're going to cover. So can't wait for it.
Yeah, a lot of boredom sparks a lot of really interesting conversation, and that's exactly where we find ourselves today. However, this was from one of the better content creators that we have in the Pistons Twitter space. This coming
Shout out.
from Jack Kelly 313 on Twitter, and he proposed the following prompt: would you rather in this season? What's a better championship path? Either path a bottom five record, land a top two selection with the chance to draft Victor Wembanyama, and Cade improves, averaging 24, 6, and 8. So we see Cade have a great statistical season, but the team isn't really that great. And then we go get a star next to Cade. Or the team wins 34 to 40 games. They make the play-in tournament, and Cade makes his first All-Star appearance, averaging 27 and 7. Now, to me, I ain't complaining about either path. Like if you're securing, like if you're telling me we get a bottom five record, however, we're getting a top two pick guaranteed, I'm not saying no to that path. That doesn't sound too bad to me. But Jeff, I think you and I are going to be aligned in the sense that you and I have been talking about the expectations that we have for this team, that it is time for them to take an evolution. And in my opinion, I think it might be best because we're only like, this prompt only talks about the development of Cade, but it's about more than that. In my opinion, I think the roster would be better off if you saw more development and overall better play from the rest of your players in addition to what Cade is as well. So what are your thoughts when you see this prompt, and what do you think ultimately is the best path for the Pistons this season? Do you think they should go for that play-in, really kind of shoot for some winning? Or do you think if they're not playing so well at the beginning of the season, do you think it might be time to position and go for the Wembanyama sweepstakes?
So when I first saw the two options, the first thing I noticed was Cade. In path A, Cade improves, averages 24, 6, and 8. Now, that's a good season to me. I would take that every day of the week. And then path B, you see Cade makes his first All-Star appearance, averaging 27 and 7. So that scenario would mean the rest of the guys also have taken the next step. So for me, it is tough. Obviously, like you said, Victor Wembanyama, like obviously that's a talent that we all drop him in on this core. It's exciting. But for me, though, like realistically, for Dwayne, for Cade to make his first All-Star team, for the Pistons to win 34 to 40 games, that would help them entering another free agency class where they're hoping to attract more guys. I think it's just better for path B to me because you're building on something. I get it. You want to lose. You want to have a chance to get, a really good player. But even if you win 34 to 40 games, like this is where you're going to be selecting. This is why Troy Weaver's in place, because he can find talent. I'm not too worried. If Stan Van Gundy was the general manager, yes, I would want a top two pick. But with Troy, I'm a lot more comfortable, allowing these things to play out. And I just think for the guys, for Dwayne, for the culture they're building, all guys that want to win, I think 34 to 40 games, and Cade makes his first All-Star appearance, which would be big for his career. It would mean these guys are learning how to win games together. Because if we end next season, Sean, and they have a top two selection, we're sitting there like, all right, these guys need a lot more time. But if they have a chance and they make the play-in tournament, even if they lose or they win a game, no matter what happens, you're like, I'm confident in what's being built. And I think, and that would mean they have enough talent to at least, win some games. Like if you win 20 games with the guys they have now, I mean, come on, you think Victor, we're hoping he pans out and turns into this unique unicorn player, but you better be damn right. Because I would rather take the play-in, Sean, if I'm being completely honest. I think it'd be better for everybody.
Well, yeah, and I think that means, kind of like what we talked about. It's not just the fact that you're seeing that Cade is showing that he can not only play really good basketball, but play basketball that affects winning. I mean, if
Yep.
he gets 24, 6, and 8, that's cool. That's awesome. But again, Cade even said it himself over this offseason in the Slam articles that they did for his magazine shoot. No one cares unless you're winning in this league. And
Bingo.
that's just the way it is. So Cade could come out, have this awesome, season and lose a ton of games. And then they have Victor Wembanyama, but that's great. But that doesn't mean that they learned winning habits. They can go out and then in theory have a 34-40 win game, winning season next year. And that would be, not really that great for that group. But in all seriousness, I mean, yes, in a perfect world, would I want to pair Victor Wembanyama with Cade Cunningham? Yes, 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 yes. It would be incredible. However, we just saw this past season, even if you have the best odds in the draft lottery, it doesn't secure you that top pick. Now, don't get us wrong. At the end of the day, even though Pistons fans are disappointed, and I remember everyone that was like, "Oh no, the Pistons got the with the waste of time." We ended up getting Jaden Ivey, and we are perfectly fine.
Right.
Which we said we would be perfectly fine. But that's a whole other can of worms. That's the thing. We lucked out. We got a top caliber player at that pick. That doesn't mean you go and say, "Hey, let's try and run that rat race again this next year," because we saw with the Philadelphia 76ers, the process, all those shots that they had at the number 1 pick. Jeff, let's name all those picks that they had. Where's Jahlil Okafor at? Where's Marco Fultz at?
Yeah, they needed Troy Weaver.
Where's Ben Simmons at? Joel Embiid's there. You got one of them. But Jeff, do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like even if you get another one of those shots, like you said, even if you go get Victor Wembanyama, he's a guy that, like, talent-wise, he has all the tools. He has everything that would take to succeed. We don't know what his health's going to be. We don't know what his future is going to be. We don't know what's going to translate to the league. So that's just the way it is until you see it in the league. Like even with like Luka Doncic, like you could tell this guy was going to be awesome, or that like this guy could like that could do some sweet things. But it was like, how could he score against NBA players? Even a guy like Chet Holmgren right now, how is he going to score against NBA players? It's going to be the same thing with Victor when he comes into the league. And even then, I would say that this team has a lot of talent. I would say that as far as the young core goes, I would say that we have a lot of young pieces that we can start to build around. I would say, I think for the Pistons, I think there's only so much, even Dwayne Casey, Troy Weaver, they've talked about. There's only so many times that you want to have young guys on your court. There's only so many young players you want. Right. At a certain point, you want to go add players that are awesome, that are veterans too. And that's what that $60 million in cap space this next year with that free agency market that's going to be opening up, which doesn't only open up free agents, but also opens up possibilities for trades and sign and trades and different types of scenarios that the Pistons will be able to open themselves up to. That's the thing that can really build momentum. If they go get 34-40 wins, Cade's a first-time All-Star, and you have $60 million in cap space, who's not looking at Detroit?
Sean, you hit on it. When guys request trades, what destinations do they list? They usually list 2 to 3 teams, all winning teams. And listen, I don't think 34.
Now, why is that? Now,
do your best. Listen, and on top of that, and listen, and I'm not saying 34-40 games would obviously go attract a big fish, but it's building. Cade makes, like you said, Cade makes his first All-Star appearance. They make the play-in, and who knows? You could win games and get into the playoffs. And if you're in the playoffs, Cade's a first-time All-Star. Guys are taking the next step, and you have $60 million in cap space. This is why you're in, and I'm not saying I want Draymond Green, but this is why guys like Draymond mention Detroit. Not because only he's from here, but they see that young core, and they say, you know what? Those guys can be special. If you're losing, if you win another 20 games next year, you're going to have to overpay for guys. You're going to get guys to come over and play, even though they're young, a lot of attractive players. Where's the wins? Like, what are you doing? And that's why I'm always going to go with B. I just think it's better for the culture. Absolutely. Yeah. You got to go with it. And now, if you're playing 2K, you want to tank. You want to get all the talent you can. But let's be honest, like these guys want to win basketball games, and I think Plan B would be suitable for all of them, for everybody.
Well, and even then, I would say after how the Pistons played this last year to end the season, I would say with the players they added this offseason, I would say with the way that they're positioning themselves, I would say this is the first season in a while that has some expectations tied to it. I would say if you're looking at a season where you have a 20 to 28 game record, you're going to look at least at a head coaching change.
Yep.
You're going to look at some players being traded. You're going to look at some seismic shifts because people are going to say, what the hell happened? How are we still in the same place? And even though Troy Weaver said he's going to be patient, we're going to build this the right way, at the same time, there has to be some form of expectation at some point, and especially when you have a player like Cade Cunningham in your system, a player that's so selfless, a player that can help get guys as involved as they are into the system, implemented into the offense, into the scheme. That's going to be the thing that's going to take it over. And especially when you have guys like Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Livers, just all the different pieces that you have. In my opinion, this is just a team that like needs to shoot for at least 30 wins because in my opinion, it's the evolution. It's the next step of the rebuild.
Right.
You can't be in the bottom forever. It's just,
no, you can. And people talk about expectations for Killian Hayes, for Sadiq, Isaiah Stewart, Duran, all these guys on top of Cade and Jaden, clearly. But if you win 20 games, and I know it's it's 20 to 28. So let's say you win 23 again. You're looking at Killian. What happened? You're looking at Sadiq. Did he take the next step? You're looking at Isaiah Stewart. How does he look? Like if you win 34 to 40, Cade's averaging less points, but he makes an all-star appearance, then everybody else is also playing well. And then that means, okay, I have a young core. Like you said, if Cade's averaging 24, 6 and 8, he's taken on more of the load offensively and defensively. You're looking at the rest of the guys like, what happened? Yeah. So I would much rather everybody, shine more than just simply Cade averaging more points. But he makes an all-star team too. So yeah, it's a win-win for me.
Yeah. And here's the other piece of it. When in Detroit, have we ever looked at our stars and the thing that we cared about was their stats? That's never the thing that I think of. Isaiah Thomas, I never bring up his statistics. Right. Ben Wallace, his stats, some people think his career and his legacy are based off his stats. And I would tell you, dear God, go watch some film, you moron. But in all seriousness, Cade Cunningham, Jeff, the things that stand out to him that are so special, it's the ways that he fills up the stat sheet. It's not the stat sheet itself. It's the way that he plays the game of basketball, the way that he approaches it. And what those stats show is that he's selfless. It's that he can obviously go get 20, 30, dare I say 40 plus points on any given night if he needs to and wants to. But at the same time, you and I both well know that the true secret to success in the game of basketball is moving it equally and distributing and being selfless, not caring if you actually are scoring or not. And that's the exact thing with Cade. He doesn't. And even then, he's still going to get his. But with guys like Jaden Ivey, with guys like Sadiq Bey, he shouldn't have to have that pressure to go out and put up those type of numbers. He shouldn't have to.
Yeah, and if he's putting up those type of numbers and Jaden is struggling, obviously the pairing is struggling. Like if Cade is putting up less points, less rebounds, less assists, and they're winning more games, what does that mean? It means Jaden Ivey's playing well, and the camaraderie's there. They're able to play together on the court together. So that's what we all wanted as Pistons fans. So you just got to look at it like that. I get, and this is such a great setup, by the way. Shout out again to Jack Kelly because the more you look at each individual situation, you kind of analyze it. There's so many scenarios. I'm still going with path B, but again, I see people responding to the tweet, whoever doesn't choose A is an idiot and all this, but it's all subjective. But to me, I want to see growth. I do.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you so much to Jack Kelly for this, for making this graphic and for starting this conversation. You can follow him on Twitter at Jack_Kelly_313. Check out his work on Detroit Bad Boys as well and on Hoops Habit. But with that, folks, also be sure that you're checking out what we're doing here on From Half Court, following all of our socials to go check out all the incredible work that that our guy Naranjan is doing. But in addition, be sure you're following my guy Jeff on there as well at Jeff Iafrady. Join the conversation and talk all things basketball. But with that, also be sure you're hitting subscribe because Jeff, did you know that at a certain point in time, last time I checked, 66% of people watching these videos aren't even subscribed. What's that bull malarkey, dude?
It don't make no sense to me. All I know is 66% of you guys need to subscribe. If you don't already and it says subscribe at the bottom, make sure you click it. Make sure it says subscribed. Please support the boys.
To subscribe, it don't even cost $1. So to do it, so to
It's
not
free.
even do it, don't make no sense.
It's free.
With that, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure you subscribe.